finally acknowledged that videos appearing to show UFOs flying through the air are real.
This morning, U.S. intelligence agencies confirm hundreds of additional UAP sightings have been reported. UAP stands for Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, otherwise known as UFOs.
Tonight, new never-before-seen video off the coast of Yemen showing a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone tracking a glowing orb as it flies over the water.
For the first time, 130,000 pages of UFO records posted online, those sightings in the sky.
Often when you think UFOs, you think sci-fi and spaceships. These insiders say because of that stigma, this topic is hard to talk about, but now they're speaking out.
The truth isn't buried out in the desert behind fences and keep out signs. It's been hiding right in front of our eyes this whole time. Those flashing lights in the sky, the strange saucers people swore they saw, the pilots who risked their careers to report bizarre flying objects. Yeah, that wasn't just coincidence, it was a setup. For nearly 80 years, we've been chasing shadows, convinced we were getting closer to uncovering the biggest secret in human history. But somehow, the truth always stayed just out of reach. We blamed the government for hiding it. We said, they know something and won't tell us. But here's the shocking twist. We were part of the cover-up from the beginning. Those stories about little green men, alien crafts, and mysterious UAPs, they weren't just swept under the rug by the Pentagon. In many cases, the Pentagon helped create them. Hey, it's Andrew, and welcome back to Everytown. If you're into UFOs like I am, brace yourself, because what you're about to hear will blow your mind. This isn't about tinfoil hats or blurry photos from someone's backyard. Nope. This is about how the U.S. government turned our fascination with extraterrestrials into one of the slickest disinformation campaigns in modern history. Think about it. We didn't just dream up alien stories out of nowhere. They were fed to us, slowly, carefully, by the same people who claimed to be investigating them. And the craziest part, we believed every single word, hook, line, and sinker. But don't worry, this isn't some random conspiracy thread pulled from the dark corners of the internet. Oh no, the proof, actual government proof, comes directly from the Pentagon itself. They admitted it, put it in writing, and handed it to Congress. It's all there, black and white, so let's rewind a bit. The real story kicks off just a few years ago, in 2022, when something nearly impossible happened in Washington. Congress actually agreed on something. That's right. Lawmakers from both sides joined forces and decided to create an official, fully funded office dedicated to digging into decades of UFO sightings. Why? Because after 80 years of strange encounters, eerie footage, and military whistleblowers whispering about things they can't explain, the question had become too big to ignore. What exactly has been flying over our heads all this time? And why did the Pentagon spend decades making sure we never asked the right questions? They called it the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO for short, and its mission sounded like something straight out of a sci-fi thriller. Its job? To finally uncover the truth behind decades of strange lights and unexplainable objects darting across American skies since the 1940s. Their task was simple on paper: identify, analyze, and reveal whether these mysterious sightings posed any threat to national security. But what they uncovered would shake everything we thought we knew about UFOs. To lead this secretive mission, they chose Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, a physicist with nearly 30 years deep inside the Pentagon and the intelligence community. This wasn't some outsider looking for fame. No, this man had clearance, connections, and curiosity, the ultimate combo to open every locked cabinet, classified vault, and dusty archive hidden in the depths of U.S. defense history. AARO was given full, unprecedented access to files dating all the way back to 1945. Every classified program, every unexplained radar blip, every whispered rumor that echoed through military hallways for generations. No stone was to be left unturned, but when Kirkpatrick and his team finally started connecting the dots, what they discovered wasn't what Congress or the public expected at all. In June 2025, the Wall Street Journal dropped a bombshell report, and overnight, the conversation surrounding UFOs completely flipped. The military had been lying, oh yes, but not about aliens. They were lying about themselves, about their own secret tech, stealth projects, and experimental weapons programs that they'd been developing right under our noses. According to the 2024 Pentagon report from ARO, a number of the most famous UFO stories were deliberately planted by the U.S. military. That's right, disinformation campaigns designed to confuse both the American public and foreign spies snooping around for secrets. They spread fake sightings near testing grounds, forged evidence in small towns, and even built entire myths from scratch. Then they just sat back and watched the world go wild as newspapers, talk shows, and conspiracy theorists did the rest. And it worked brilliantly. Americans were hungry for answers, obsessed with mystery, and eager to believe. All the military needed to do was plant a single seed, and boom, a legend was born. Take the infamous Dulce Base, for example, the supposed underground facility where the wild alien treaty story started back in the 1980s. Remember that one? According to the myth, aliens and humans worked side by side in secret tunnels beneath New Mexico. It sounds insane until you realize where it came from. The story originated with Paul Benowitz, a local businessman who became convinced he was intercepting secret radio signals from the base. And here's the twist. He was, but those transmissions weren't coming from aliens. They were being fed to him on purpose. A calculated move by intelligence officials to push him and everyone else deeper into the UFO rabbit hole while they tested weapons nearby. That wild story about secret alien bases in New Mexico, turns out it was just a smokescreen for something very real, but very human. The whole thing covered up the construction of Cold War missile silos. That's right, the so-called alien activity was actually American engineering hidden under layers of rumor and paranoia. And here's another gem from the 1980s. An Air Force colonel supposedly strolls into a Nevada bar showing off photos of a flying saucer. It sounds like another tall tale, but it actually happened. Patrons gawked at those photos, whispering that they'd just seen proof of extraterrestrials. But years later, that same colonel confessed to investigators that he'd been following orders. His job wasn't to reveal the truth, it was to bury it. His mission was to keep everyone distracted from what was really going on under wraps. The top-secret F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter. And imagine that poor bar owner. He probably passed those saucer photos around to every regular who came in for a beer. Maybe he even made copies or sold a few to UFO buffs. Before long, those same images ended up in documentaries, conspiracy forums, and midnight radio shows as supposed proof of alien crafts. But the truth? It was all smoke and mirrors, bureaucratic lies built to protect American weapons secrets, not extraterrestrial visitors. And guess what? There are tons of stories just like that, each one stranger than the last, but all serving the same purpose, to hide the real projects being tested out in the desert. To really understand why the military went to such insane lengths to spin alien cover stories, you've got to picture what they were actually building out there in the 1980s. The F-117 Nighthawk didn't look like any normal aircraft. It looked like something out of another dimension. Imagine folding a paper jet out of steel, turning it into a sharp-edged triangle instead of a sleek tube with wings. Then give it an engine capable of pushing nearly 700 miles per hour through the night sky. Yeah, if you saw that thing without context, you'd think aliens were invading too. Its first official flight took place at the infamous Area 51 in June 1981. By 1983, the Nighthawk was fully combat ready, but the public didn't hear a single word about it until 5 years later. That's 5 years of secret night missions, desert test flights, and military engineers crafting something no one on Earth had ever seen before. But here's the kicker. The F-117 wasn't made for dogfights or speed. It was built to vanish, to be a ghost in the sky. Those sharp edges and flat geometric panels weren't for looks. They were pure math. Every angle carefully calculated to bend and scatter radar waves away from detection. Even the skin of the plane was coated with radar-absorbing materials, making it practically invisible to enemy systems. So when locals in Nevada looked up at night and saw something massive, dark, and silent streaking through the stars, they didn't see a secret jet. They saw a UFO. And just like that, another legend was born. The F-117. Nighthawk wasn't just another jet, it was a phantom. Its weapons were hidden inside the fuselage, leaving no external trace for radar to catch. Nothing stuck out, nothing reflected back, just pure silence on the scope. Its entire mission was to slip deep into enemy airspace, drop precision bombs with surgical accuracy, and then vanish without a trace. In the heart of the Cold War, with Soviet defenses getting sharper every year, this kind of ghost technology wasn't just impressive, it was essential. Every single test flight took place under maximum secrecy at Area 51, the ultimate lockdown zone. From 1981 through 1990, massive C-5 Galaxy transports quietly hauled disassembled Nighthawks from Burbank, California, to Nevada, but always under the cover of night. No daylight glimpses, no leaks, no trace left behind. Now imagine being a local in Nevada during those years. You're outside at night and see strange, angular shapes gliding silently across the sky. No visible wings, no normal flight pattern, just eerie geometric shadows slicing through the darkness. You'd think it was a UFO too. Witnesses described low hums, bizarre silhouettes, and movements that defied everything they'd ever seen from a normal plane. And guess what? They weren't wrong. It wasn't a normal plane. The F-117 was nearly a decade ahead of anything the public even knew existed. But here's where things get wild. The military couldn't reveal what they were testing, not after pouring billions into research and years into perfecting stealth warfare. If the Soviets caught wind of it, the advantage would be gone overnight. So instead of denying the rumors outright, they did something genius. They embraced them. They let the UFO stories grow like weeds and then secretly watered them. One Pentagon insider later admitted the truth. Spreading alien rumors became a form of camouflage. Yes, you heard that right. UFOs were used as cover for top-secret defense projects. Pentagon spokeswoman Sue Goff confirmed that AARO uncovered multiple fabricated narratives deliberately planted to draw attention away from real classified operations. Those mysterious barroom photos passed around by that colonel, they weren't random, they were strategy, part of a long-term campaign to distract the curious and confuse foreign spies. And once you start lining up the timelines, everything clicks into place. Every major spike in UFO sightings just happened to coincide with secret flight testing. The data doesn't lie. ARO even sifted through Project Blue Book, the Air Force's official UFO investigation program that ran from 1952 to 1969, and the pattern was crystal clear. Between 1952 and 1957, there was a huge surge in sightings. Then, another massive bump around 1960, right when experimental aircraft were being tested in the desert skies. Coincidence? Hardly. So now ask yourself, what's really more believable? That hundreds of alien ships are flying over the U.S., always seen but never caught on clear camera? Or that we've been catching glimpses of our own technology, decades ahead of its time, dressed up as UFO mysteries? The answer, once you see the evidence, practically screams at you. The Pentagon's findings were crystal clear and honestly, kind of jaw-dropping. Those massive spikes in UFO sightings across the decades, They lined up perfectly with bursts of secret U.S. testing, thousands of experimental flights, rocket launches, and prototype aircraft slicing through the night sky. Every time American aerospace took a giant leap forward from Cold War weapons to the space race, the number of flying saucers being reported suddenly went through the roof. See, back when America was racing to the moon, technology was advancing faster than public understanding could keep up. But all those wild new designs had to be tested somewhere, and that somewhere was our own sky. So when people looked up and saw strange lights and shapes that didn't fit any known pattern, they did what anyone would do. They reached for the only label that made sense at the time, UFOs. And according to Aero's official Pentagon report, the truth is even more fascinating than fiction. The witnesses weren't crazy, and they weren't seeing weather balloons or swamp gas. They were seeing real objects, just not from another planet. They were looking at America's most advanced aircraft long before anyone was supposed to know they existed. Then, in 2014, another puzzle piece finally locked into place. The CIA declassified a secret history of the U-2 spy plane program, and what it revealed connected decades of dots. When the U-2 began soaring at over 60,000 feet in the mid-1950s, UFO reports exploded. And it makes perfect sense. Back then, commercial planes only flew between 10,000 and 20,000 feet, and even the fastest military jets topped out around 40,000. So when radar operators suddenly caught something gliding twice as high as anything they knew existed, the only explanation that fit, something otherworldly. Picture this: early evening skies, the sun just dipping below the horizon. A passenger jet cruises west at 20,000 feet, shadows stretching across the clouds. But way up above, at 60,000 feet, a sleek, silver U-2 spy plane slices through the thin air, its wings catching the last rays of sunlight, flashing like a glowing blade across the heavens. From the darkened cockpit of a pilot below, that sight must have looked unreal. Pure science fiction come to life. The Air Force and CIA, of course, knew exactly what was going on. Whenever those UFO calls poured in, investigators in Washington would pick up the phone, check the U-2 flight logs, and boom, most sightings were explained within minutes. But here's the twist: they couldn't tell anyone. These weren't ordinary planes. They were spy planes, the most classified aircraft on Earth at the time. Revealing the truth would have blown an entire intelligence program wide open. So instead of admitting anything, officials fed the public harmless cover stories, weather balloons, optical illusions, atmospheric tricks, anything but the truth. Meanwhile, those sleek silver wings kept soaring, and the UFO legends kept spreading. Declassified CIA files now show the full scope of it. U-2 and OXCART missions accounted for over half of all UFO reports in the late 1950s and much of the 1960s. The government literally had matching timestamps, radar logs, and sighting reports that lined up perfectly with their own secret flights, and yet they said absolutely nothing. For decades, they watched as the public spun theories about aliens. When the truth was far more shocking, we were witnessing the dawn of stealth, not the arrival of visitors from the stars. But just when you think this story couldn't get any crazier, it does. Because Arrow didn't just uncover secret planes or fake UFO stories. It found something so bizarre it sounds like a movie plot gone off the rails. Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick revealed that for decades, a ritual, yes, an actual ritual, had been circulating through top-secret corners of the U.S. military. The insiders called it Yankee Blue. And what it really was? A twisted mix of hazing, mind games, and psychological manipulation baked right into classified culture. This thing apparently started in the 1980s, back when Cold War paranoia was at its peak, and somehow it never stopped. Reports say it's popped up as recently as 2023. Here's how it worked. A new commander gets assigned to a highly classified Air Force program. Fresh, ambitious, ready to make an impression. Suddenly they're pulled into a secure briefing room. Lights dim, folders slammed on the table, photos slid across under harsh fluorescent light. What's in those photos? Alien spacecraft, anti-gravity blueprints, recovered tech that looks straight out of Area 51 legend, the whole sci-fi fantasy. Then someone leans in close and whispers the chilling words, "Welcome to Yankee Blue." They're told this is a classified initiative to reverse engineer alien technology, the kind of secret that's so deep it doesn't officially exist. And then comes the threat. Speak about it, and the consequences will be severe. Most recruits didn't realize it was theater. They thought it was real. They left that room believing they'd just been briefed into one of the government's darkest, most forbidden programs. Some carried that belief for decades, shaping their careers and their entire worldview around a truth that was never real. Now picture what happens years later. One of those officers retires, slips into civilian life. One quiet night, a couple of drinks in, chatting with an old friend, the memories resurface. The conditioning runs deep. They can't reveal details, but they nod, just once, when asked if it's true. Yes, they say quietly. There are programs. The government does have things it won't share. It's real. That friend, now holding what sounds like explosive confirmation, tells someone else. Maybe it becomes a post on a conspiracy forum. Maybe it's whispered in a podcast or turns into a segment on late-night TV. Suddenly, another UFO story is born. The rumor grows, twisting through headlines, documentaries, and YouTube deep dives, all built on an elaborate prank no one ever revealed was a prank. And this is where things get hauntingly ironic. We've all heard figures like Bob Lazar, the man who swore he worked on reverse-engineered alien crafts at Area 51. And look, maybe he believes every word he says, but ask yourself, if someone truly had access to that level of classified alien tech, would they really be allowed to talk about it so freely? Or could it be that he was another product of the Yankee Blue game? After Arrow flagged the pattern, the Pentagon officially banned the practice. But by then, the damage was already done. Decades of half-truths, leaked stories, and emotional testimonies, all tracing back to people who were sincere but sincerely misled. Think about how many UFO legends might have started this way. How many journalists, researchers, even whistleblowers built entire careers on the words of someone who was never lying, just repeating the script of an illusion they were tricked into believing. It's dark, it's twisted, and it's almost genius. The scariest part, that kind of manipulation doesn't just shape one generation of believers. It can echo for decades, reshaping how an entire nation sees the sky above. These revelations show just how easily secrecy and misinformation, even when supposedly done for national security, can spiral completely out of control. What started as classified cover-ups and tactical deception turned into a cultural phenomenon that reshaped how millions of people think about the unknown. Dr. Kirkpatrick pointed out that many of today's most popular conspiracy theories actually trace straight back to U.S. military efforts to hide vulnerabilities or disguise cutting-edge tech during tense Cold War rivalries. But let's be real, calling it well-intentioned is being way too kind. The military didn't just hide secrets, they built a mythology so powerful it took on a life of its own, bleeding into every corner of pop culture. Movies, television shows, novels, all dripping with alien lore and government cover-ups. Entire generations grew up believing that somewhere out there, men in black suits were guarding the truth about UFOs. And think about the ripple effect. That massive web of stories has shaped public trust or mistrust in the government for decades. It created a subculture all its own. Researchers chasing sightings, believers waiting for disclosure, skeptics fighting back with science. What started as a few strategic lies to protect classified projects became one of the most powerful cultural forces in modern history. But here's the part that stings. The root of it all wasn't cosmic truth. It was deliberate deception. At least some of it was built on faked evidence, fabricated testimonies, and carefully planted hoaxes designed to keep prying eyes off the real secrets. Even now, we still don't know the full extent of those disinformation campaigns. The 2024 AARO report, the same one that blew the lid off Yankee Blue and exposed the Pentagon's use of UFO stories as camouflage, was released with massive redactions. Whole paragraphs blacked out, key documents altered, and multiple incidents completely scrubbed from public view. Basically, the investigators got to see the truth, but we didn't. The Pentagon insists there's a follow-up report coming in late 2025 that'll reveal more details about the disinformation programs. But come on, after 80 years of smoke and mirrors, do we really think that one's going to be honest? Even if it's published, how many people will actually believe it? Because here's where things take an even stranger turn. Between May 2023 and May 2024, RO logged 757 new reports of unidentified aerial phenomena, an explosion of sightings compared to previous years. Investigators ruled out most of them as explainable: drones, birds, weather balloons, satellites reflecting sunlight, but not all of them. That's right, some incidents still remain unexplained. And the current Aero director, John Kozlowski, hasn't shied away from admitting it. He's been way more open than his predecessor about the limits of what even their best technology can verify. In November 2024, he went on record saying that not every sighting fits cleanly into known categories, that some things still defy explanation. So now the question becomes, after decades of lies and manipulation, if the Pentagon suddenly told the truth, would anyone even believe it? Kozlowski himself said it straight. RO is still analyzing several true anomalies, and even with his deep background in physics, engineering, and intelligence work, there are cases that defy explanation. He admitted that there are incidents so strange, so far beyond current understanding, that not even his most qualified peers can make sense of them. According to Kozlowski, 21 incidents remain fully unexplained. So what are they? Are these genuine UFOs from beyond Earth? Or just more advanced tech the government's keeping locked behind closed doors? The truth is, we don't know, and maybe we never will. But here's the real price of that secrecy. The Pentagon's decades-long game of using UFO mythology as cover has finally come full circle. It bought them time, sure, but it cost them trust. And once trust breaks at that level, it doesn't bounce back. It bleeds for generations. For decades, ordinary people who saw something strange in the sky were written off as kooks, attention seekers, or people chasing little green men. But here's the irony. Some of those so-called crazy witnesses were actually describing real American technology. They weren't imagining it. They were seeing experimental aircraft, secret tests, or prototypes never meant for civilian eyes. But because the military couldn't admit what was really going on, they built a world where seeing the truth automatically made you unbelievable. Now, all these years later, Congress is trying to untangle that mess. Lawmakers are pushing new efforts to remove the stigma around reporting unusual sightings. There's even a dedicated caucus digging into what they're now calling unidentified anomalous phenomena. Their goal, to track down exactly which agencies may have handled crash retrievals and determine whether those wrecks involve foreign drones, secret American prototypes, or something far stranger. But there's an even deeper layer here, and it's the part nobody wants to say out loud. How much of today's big disclosure movement is still being shaped by the old disinformation seeds the Pentagon planted decades ago, when whistleblowers stepped forward swearing they were briefed on reverse engineering alien craft? How many of them are actually recalling fake initiations like Yankee Blue? It's a brutal thought, but a necessary one. Because what if the mythology around Area 51, Roswell, and decades of UFO lore wasn't just an accident, but a masterpiece of manipulation, created by the very people who claimed to be protecting the truth? And yet, even after all that, some mysteries still won't die. Those 21 unexplained cases remain on RO's books, and that's just the official count. There are countless others, sightings that never got reported, or were buried in classified files so deep they may never see daylight again. So maybe that's the ultimate twist in this entire saga. After decades of lies, fake photos, and false leads, the truth might finally be closer than ever, yet still completely out of reach. Maybe the government wasn't hiding aliens all along. Maybe it was hiding us from the truth we accidentally stumbled into. If you're ready for more mind-bending revelations like this, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and share, because the deeper we dig, the stranger it gets. The truth is still out there, maybe, but before anyone can reach it, they'll have to dig through decades of official lies, cover stories, and disinformation buried under the label of national security. Only after scraping through that mountain of government-manufactured confusion will we even begin to see what's real. And when that day comes, if it ever does, let's hope they actually share it with the rest of us. Because this is the legacy of the Pentagon's UFO era. A time when the biggest conspiracy wasn't about visitors from the stars. It was about the humans right here on Earth who used alien myths as camouflage for secrets they never wanted uncovered. In the end, the only aliens we were chasing were the lies we chose to believe. So that's gonna wrap up this week's episode of Everytown. I hope you enjoyed diving into this one, because honestly, it might be one of the wildest stories we've ever covered. If you loved the ride and want to keep exploring more of these strange, shadowy truths hiding behind history's biggest mysteries, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who still believes the official story. And hey, if you want to support the work we do here, go check out our exclusive Vault episodes over on patreon.com/scarymysteries. You don't have to sign up for anything. Just browse through the Vault, pick the episodes that intrigue you most, and dive deeper into the stories the mainstream won't touch. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this community that refuses to stop asking questions. I'll see you next week for another dark, strange, and mysterious case. Because remember, the truth might be closer than you think, and maybe your town will be next.